Stevie's eating a bone now. It's crunching in the background. I just gave it to her. All right, folks, this is my 30 days of Delulu, a manifestation exercise wrap video, I guess, like my wrap-up video. Post-mortem thoughts, reflections, what have you. 30 days of Delulu, a manifestation exercise, was something I started at the beginning of October. Came to me as just a message from my higher self, as something I needed to do to sort of like amp up my energy again, get out of my little funk, my emotional mental funk, and get clear on what I want. And the message was to post my dreams and desires as though they are my reality on social media. So almost like a virtual vision board through social media, which social media, in my opinion, helps sort of amplify whatever it is you put out there. So it has to be used for good. Or it will definitely have negative like repercussions to you. So it felt like very important to be putting my intentions and my manifestations onto social media as though they were real, because you always have to act as though, not wish and hope, but just affirm and say that it is already your reality. So that's what I've been doing. If you've all been confused, on my socials I have posted things like my TV show, my vegan TV show, my vegan hot for food plant kitchen and classroom, which is a huge retail, eatery, and classroom space in Los Angeles. My dream home that I have. What else did I post? Me having my green card so that I can stay and work and live in LA. My trip to Rwanda to see the gorillas. My trip to Japan, which was amazing. So of course, all of these things are manifestations. They have not happened. I did trick a lot of people with the television show. They really thought I had the television show. And the power behind this is that now that other people actually believe in this, or believe in my dreams, they're also kind of your dreams too, in a weird way. You should also have your own things, but I'm just saying, it kind of, to have all that collective energy, like amping and boosting something up, I feel is even more powerful. So we'll see what happens. I think what this exercise definitely did is got me in the headspace that I was trying to achieve. It definitely got me feeling less fearful, less anxious, less stressed about life and finances and work and blah blah blah, and all just the sort of things that tend to weigh us down in life. It got me clear and creative in thinking about what I do want for my life and thinking bigger, expanding my vision for myself, what I want, where I see myself, these types of things. It affirmed that I definitely do not want to throw the towel in on hot for food. That may not have been something I expressed at the beginning, I can't remember, but during this month actually I posted a podcast I was featured on from Food Blogger Pro, where I essentially was being pretty transparent about my feelings toward my business and my life right now, where I was saying, you know, I've thought about getting a regular job. I don't know what the future of hot for food is. I definitely recorded that prior to coming up with this exercise, but it got published during this month of October, during the month of October when I was doing this. So I thought it was interesting because I have now basically decided there's no other option. I am not throwing in the towel. I am going to persevere. I'm going to figure this out. Creatively, I have felt quite burnt out, and I don't know that this has solved my creative burnout. It definitely hasn't, but the point was to have fun with social, which I did, and get more creative about my dreams, which I did. Other than bringing clarity that I want to continue trying to expand hot for food in multiple ways, and my intention is there about that, the feeling of having to do it is still a bit weighty for me. I think what doing this exercise also did is expose kind of the cracks within me, like the points of resistance that I still carry and hold, and made me now realize what those are so that I can do more work to work that out of myself, let that go, release some of that. One of the realizations I came to a couple days ago as October was winding down, and I put it out there as my last intention or manifestation. It was about, here, I'll just read it so I know what I'm saying. I think this is an important way to end this exercise. Like, it felt very like serendipitous or appropriate that this was sort of the end of the month for me in the last manifestation. I took someone else's words. It's a account called We the Urban, and it was what we're not, there's 3 slides here, but what we're not going to do is endlessly beat ourselves up over past mistakes. They've had their time. Now cherish the wisdom they've gifted you. Forgive yourself often. Embrace the lessons and give yourself the grace to move forward. I release worry. I release the fear of letting go. I release the fear of being seen. I release the fear of change. I release all feelings of unworthiness. I release the fear of guarding my energy. I release the hesitation to trust my journey. I release all the weight of societal norms. I release negative thought spirals. I release stress about the past or future. I release the guilt of prioritizing myself. I release the dread of uncertainty. I release the need to control what I cannot. I release comparisons that rob my joy. I release all self-sabotaging behaviors. I release the chains of procrastination. I release limiting beliefs. I release all negativity clouding my vision. I release all blockages from my life. And finally, believe red flags. Don't fall in love with potential. Trust patterns, not apologies. Be careful who you vent to. Don't beg. Don't chase, don't force, don't lie to yourself. Value actions more than words. Remember your worth. Recognize the signs of manipulation. Trust your intuition. Never lower your standards. Cultivate self-love. Know that healthy love exists. All right, well, I think it's important that I just read all that out loud. It is big as the end, as the last manifestation, because what the realization is I came to, did I even say that right? The realization I came to at the end is that, and I was looking at my vision board while I realized this, and also realizing everything I've posted over the last month, all that stuff that I want, that I can envision, it can't come if I am still holding on to the past and still holding on to resentment and anger about what happened, funny enough, about 9 months ago, which was when my kid's dad and I split up. And 9 months is an interesting timeline on that, because that's like a birth cycle, right? It's like 9 months of gestation, 9 months of holding on to that, 9 months of festering in that, 9 months of carrying that weight, that baby. It's not a baby, I have a physical baby now. But that 9-month sort of timeline, it's like, I was just like, it's time to get rid of that stuff. And if I don't get rid of it, if I don't release all those things I just said, and there's a lot of there's other things to release, not just that particular past issue, but that's a big part and a big thing I've been carrying around and feeling and living in. If I don't let that go, none of that other stuff can happen. It's all connected, right? When we think about resistance, resistance can mean so many things to us individually, and I think it's our work. Our work is to figure out what that is, and I think doing this exercise, like I said, exposed that for me. It seems logical when I say it now, but it was like, it wasn't something that my cells recognized, that I wasn't embodying, that I fully understood at a physiological level. It's like I could talk about, yes, I have to forgive for myself, but I wasn't ready to do that. And now I feel like the other day I was like, you must do that and you are ready to do that. And so it doesn't mean it's gone like that in a day. It just means, I think, throughout this exercise, that's been part of the release and part of that work, and now there's like still some more to do, but the awareness around it, the recognition of that exact point is all really important, and I think makes a lot of sense with the exercise I just did. And also astrologically, what's gone on in October with the 2 eclipses, and it being it's meant to symbolize the sort of death of a cycle. They say a 2-year cycle, actually. So when that final eclipse happened on the 28th, that was like supposed to again be the releasing of that, and it was just all timed very perfectly. I think it was really interesting that the exercise for the 30 days of Delulu was called to happen for October, because it was such a powerful month and all that stuff. You know, I don't look at it super closely and read all about it and know everything that's going on, but in general, when I read what's happening astrologically with the moon and everything, it made so much sense to like what I was going through with this manifestation exercise and just all the things I was kind of processing. So I guess the point of me sharing all that is that from just a surface level, looking at what I was doing, you may think it's superficial, or you may think it was silly, or whatever people thought. I'm sure there are people that thought that. And even when I look at it, it could be looked at that way, like I'm looking at it objectively that way. But what I'm communicating, or what I want to hit home is, especially if you did this too, that there's so much more than just the manifestations. Do you know what I mean? It's more than just that surface level stuff that you're asking for. First of all, and even identifying that and asking for those things, that's a huge leap forward. That's a huge expansive action to do, right? And I think you should be applauded for that if you were doing that this month. Again, it doesn't have to be put on social media, but if you were somehow following this journey in some way and plotting these intentions or setting these goals. And it could have been, again, writing goals, visualization, putting it on social media, all of these things, same thing. It doesn't have to be exactly what I did. But in just doing that, it's so courageous, I think, and it's so expansive for you. And it's such a big step. And then beneath that, you go on, once you put it out there and ask and say and declare, so much more, I think, happens beneath the surface now, because now you have to work at letting it in. And some people don't know what that means. What does that mean, letting it in? Well, you got to get out of your own way. And often when we're in our own way, it's because we're dealing with these types of sticky emotional baggage things, like what I'm talking about I was carrying, or I am carrying still residually a bit of. And inevitably, by putting all of that stuff out there like I did, it forced me and sort of serendipitously and energetically caused me to recognize what was going on beneath the surface. And that is the work. That's the work we're meant to do. So now I understand how I'm in my own way. I'm in my own way of getting these things that I want energetically, emotionally, and now my work is to release that stuff. And so how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to constantly read those intentions and affirmations, and I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to just appreciate and be grateful for what is going on, and be grateful for that past situation, for what it taught me. And the big key about forgiveness for me, and what I talked about in therapy today, was empathy. I'm not there yet, but I have to have empathy for the situation and for the person who I believe in caused me harm. It wasn't harm, it was obviously a good thing. I have to somehow reach for empathy. So anyway, I think that's all I'm gonna say on that, but it's like, that's the work now that I have to do in the days coming out of this exercise. And what you have to remember too, and I think this is obtuse in me saying it, and you're like, well, what do you mean? You don't have to do anything either, okay? Like, there's this whole, we're very doing people. And yes, we do have to take little action baby steps toward something we want, and toward who we want to be, to get closer to that version of ourselves we want to be. But you don't need to stress about it. You don't need to get hung up on it and high strung about it. It's not about doing all the time. It's really about being, okay? So often when you recognize these things, so I'm like in my head recognizing these things, and then it's kind of moving into my heart. I'm feeling it in my heart now. I'm embodying the change. I'm understanding it again, like I said, on kind of like a physiological, cellular level. Okay, then it's like, and it's kind of like that thing, and so it is, and so it is. You've talked about it, you've acknowledged it, you've said it out loud, it is what it is, you just leave it now. There's nothing else to do. Now I just have to be. I have to be present. I have to bask in appreciation. I have to find joy. I have to have fun. This is very like Abraham Hicks stuff, but it is part of the framework of the law of attraction. It is the framework of the law of attraction. Because how can an angry, bitter person who feels betrayed and how can I attract anything good if I'm feeling that way? I can't. So I think it's as simple as explaining it that way, right? So if any of that made sense to you, and you're hopefully self-examining, maybe drawing similarities or parallels, wonderful. If you have no idea what I just said, that's fine too. I'm not even sure I realized what I just said. I literally feel like I'm space cadet on drugs right now. I don't feel in my body for some reason. So hopefully that was an okay wrap up. I don't I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I feel so weird. But rather than questioning it and redoing this video, I'll just leave it as it is. And I don't think, oh, what I want to say is I don't think this is like, there's not end to 30 days of Delulu. I think this is something that you could do whenever you want. I'll continue to share things, I think, in regards to this stuff, calling it 30 days of Delulu. And my other thought about 30 days of Delulu is that I ended up sharing about 16 or 17 manifestations, which is almost an every other day post if I actually did it that way. I didn't do it consecutively. And that's a lot. Also, these manifestations are big, expansive visions for ourselves that we have to give them space. So even the momentum of having to post every day, again, I found that to be too much. But what I ended up doing was every other day when you think about it, and that's a lot of intentions and a lot of things to work toward and to put out there into the universe. So I think that's good. And the idea could be that maybe you just have one intention you want to put out there, but you give it 30 days to kind of expand and gestate and really work on your resistance around it. You know, I think that's important too. So if you have a vision, maybe it's not that you need to do one every day, it's that you just need to think of one and give it 30 days to kind of like become more believable to you, right? Because you have to believe it. You are what you believe. You are who you think you are. So often there's a lot of work and pre-paving and kind of like post-production work to be done on our intentions and our goals and our manifestations. So I think 30 days could be like a workshop for one particular manifestation or one particular goal you're working on. So I think there's that interpretation of what 30 days of Delulu could be as well. But we will stay in the Delulu. We will stay Delulu. Being Delulu is the Salulu. I'm clearly very Delulu now. Maybe I've completely lost it. Okay, well, I appreciate anyone who's managed to stick around listening to all of this, and if you've been following the whole journey, thank you very much. There will be more to come. I'll share whenever I have thoughts, feelings, and that. And I do appreciate you for being here. Okay, bye-bye. I'm really honestly probably just like mom tired, if we're being realistic. Okay, bye y'all.